Supergroup was founded in 1986 by Larry Lipschitz and focuses on fleet management, supply chain, logistics and car dealerships. It has a market cap of 5 billion rand, a price to earnings ratio of 12 and currently pays no dividends. So looking at Supergroup, somewhat of a comeback kid here, Paul.
Yeah, very much so, because at some point they were flying high. They had a disastrous fall. They had a massive loss in Angola where someone built them out of a whole lot of vehicles. They lost money on their auto dealerships because they built a whole lot of them in 08-09, which proved then not to be useful, and they had high debt levels. Larry Lipschitz left in disgrace. The company basically got bailed out by its core shareholders, most importantly Alan Gray, asset management firm in Cape Town, who decided to back their rights. I think there were 2 rights issues. It's done a 10-for-1 consolidation. So what you're seeing here really is the recovery after all of those debacles. And I think what's been demonstrated is with grown-up management, with cautious, careful debt control, and with a bit of selective weeding out of some of the weak businesses, that it has recovered. The only problem is it's now recovered to the level at which it probably ought to be trading, given the nature of its business. So I'm not sure if now you buy them, you haven't already, sort of missed the boat.
So we had a bit of a discussion earlier before coming into the show, but you're pretty positive on Supergroup.
Yes, I think that what's happened since the rights issue, I think the rights issue was at about 40 cents. What's happened since then is the new management has demonstrated that they can do a great job with the business. You've got Colin Brown, you've got Peter Mountford there. The earnings have always come through so far since then. I think it was in about 2009. I think that they've had a great run as well. They had a trading statement recently that earnings would be at a certain level. Yep. What you need to take into account though is that some of those earnings have not once off, but they have unusually large profits from the run off of contracts, because as contracts, which are usually about 5 years long, get to the end of their life, just because of how the depreciation schedule works, etc., and other accounting wonderfuls in these things work, you get a large profit release towards the end. So what you need to take into account is that if you look at the current earnings, right, the price to earnings multiple looks decent, but with those contracts falling off, they have a bit of a gap to fill for next year. So you need to keep that in mind. Keeping that in mind, I think, even if the earnings do drop a bit to next year, even if they don't fill as much of that gap as they'd like to, I don't think it's still significantly expensive. I think they could start paying a dividend soon, in fact, in 2013, and I think that makes it a reasonable prospect.
So, 5th best performer on the JSE, currently hot or not for you, Paul?
Yeah, but I think the reason they've done so well is because of the recovery, and people love to buy a recovery story. This is Joburg, it's the mining camp. Everybody likes someone who's down and out. I think it's a little bit too advanced. I am a little concerned about those contracts that are falling away in the fleet management business, but I am mindful, as Daniel says, dividend coming back and so on. So it could be a little bit more in it, but for me, not hot.
Not hot for now.
Not just screaming buy, no.
Okay, and yourself, Daniel, hot or not on Supergroup?
So I'll just borrow from some of the words that Paul used when he said screaming bar.
Yeah.
I'm also not sure about a screaming bar, because it has run a lot. I still think that there could be some more in it, so it's not hot.
Yeah.
If that makes sense.
So a bit of a mix here. So are you hot or not on this one?
I'm hot on the stock, and would be hotter if there was a bit of a pullback in the price.
So you're waiting for a pullback and then definitely hot. There we go. Okay.